Thinking about working out from home, but you're not sure what gear you need? I was in that same spot when COVID first hit 5 years ago. And trust me, you do not have to have a commercial gym space in order to make serious progress. So whether you're a total beginner to the working out space, or if you're returning to working out following an injury, consider this video your starter kit. In this video, we're going to go over what you need starting off, what's nice to have, and then also what you can grow into over time. Let's get into it. So this first category is what I'll call the necessities, your real world starter pack, if you will. These are pretty much the non-negotiables that you definitely want when you first start. Again, whether you're getting into working out or to the ability of if you're coming back to working out following an injury. One of the very first things, I know this, again, sounds potentially basic, is a pair of comfy shoes, right? So something that you can either work out in your space if you choose to do that, or if you're a barefoot and socks type of person, that's awesome too. Great for especially if you want to walk on a treadmill, or even better if the weather's nice outside. Really nice option to have. And again, I go for more of like a minimalist type of shoe, but really it's whatever you found best that works for you. Moving on here in this case is a pair of either dumbbells or a kettlebell. Now what I have is both adjustable options. So dumbbell, if you really feel more comfortable starting off with this, I know this is usually a lower barrier to entry type of thing sometimes compared to kettlebells, which there is a little bit of a learning curve going on, but with both, you can make the adjustable options ideally as light as around 5 pounds. And then each of these ones in particular can go up 5 to 10 pound increments all the way up to something, this can go up to a 70, and I think this can go to like 50 or 55. But I like these options for a lot of people because a lot of the times I'll hear, oh, I have a 5 or maybe an 8 pound pair and that's it, which you can get away with that early on. But kind of like the nice problem to have, so to speak, is that eventually you will outgrow those. So I'm kind of in a preference of, especially early on, if we can go adjustable with a bunch of different weight options, that opens you up to, pressing, kettlebell swings, deadlifting, squatting, lunging, all your basic movement patterns that you would need, and you already have those starting off. So next on our necessities list is an area to move. So whether that's an area of carpeted floor, if you have a yoga mat, I prefer horse stall mats in this area because I've always grown up with those from the CrossFit gym space, if you will. But it's also just really nice if you ever had to drop anything or set something down, you're not going to scuff up your floors. Plus, it does have a little bit of give to it. If you're looking to do something more body weight emphasis or maybe even more yoga related, or just things that are being more floor biased in that case, which is completely fair, then something like a yoga mat would be really nice just to kind of absorb some of the shock a little bit more, being more friendly on the hands, knees, feet, etc. So again, it's just something where you have designated space for working out there as a whole. And then another piece of this necessity category is bands. These are just Rogue Fitness bands. I'm not sponsored by them, but there are, you can get these on Amazon, your local sporting good place, really whatever in that case. And some of them even have handles on the ends of them. Actually, I think I might have a pair here. But yeah, so some of these actually might have handles already built onto the ends of them. So you could do things like, bicep curls, tricep exercises. I've even seen people do RDLs with either this option or what we're talking about here. I like these as well too for rehab purposes. So you'll usually have a really thinner type of band like this. This would be a moderate weight resistance one, if you will, and then there will be thicker ones as well. You'll see those more so in powerlifting. But really the goal with these is you could really use these nicely for shoulder rehab. This one in particular, I really love for people that are coming back off of like an ankle sprain or need to get their hips moving in order to squat a little bit easier. But yeah, bands are really, really nice. They're very versatile as well. And again, it's another version of resistance, especially when you're early back into it following an injury, or again, if you're just getting into it working out. I'm not looking for you to feel paralyzed by your options, right? I want this to be something that's kind of short, sweet, to the point. Again, bands, a place to move, a pair of shoes, especially if you're outside, an adjustable either dumbbell, kettlebell, or both if you like. This is, again, just to get you started, and this will cover a lot of your basic movement patterns. You're probably looking at least 85 to 90% of the stuff that you need. So category 2 is what we'll consider the nice to have. So these are your level 2 upgrades in this case. I debated on if any of this stuff should be put in on category 1 because it can absolutely be considered a necessity if strength is your ultimate bias. But these are more so going to happen after you've gotten more accustomed or consistent with the movement basics, and also once you potentially have a little bit more room in your budget to go with these options. So as you can see right here, barbell of some sort, and then also plates. I have bumper plates. So there's a bunch of different bumper plate options, which are nice for if you have the ability to drop them on the floor, especially if you're doing Olympic lifts or higher intensity functional training. Those would be absolutely optimal. If you're looking for more of the pure strength kind of, meathead powerlifting, if you will, then steel plates will get away just fine. Just be mindful those are a lot louder. So this is a 45-pound barbell. The diameter is a little bit more so than something would be a 35-pound barbell. They actually make a training bar that's 15, which I use those if it's somebody, again, with having some shoulder injury or what have you, where the heavier weight isn't the most applicable up front. But those options, just like the 45, the 35, can all be loaded, but you got to start where you can. And then the plates, generally speaking, a pair of 45s, a pair of 25s, and a 10s are great for starting off. And then even fractional plates, so a pair of 5s, a pair of 2.5s, will take you a very long way. The wonderful problem to have in this case, what I consider the fun problem to have, is that at some point, if strength is your bias and you really want to get back into that, then you're going to need to purchase more weight. So there'll be more 45s, more 10s, more 25s in that case. The next piece in this is you have to have a squat rack in order to hold this barbell plus all this weight up. This is actually considered a squat stand. There are a bunch of squat rack options. And again, the whole point of these is to hold all the weight for things bench pressing, overhead pressing, front squat, back squat. Mine is a squat stand, so it doesn't have the pull-up bar on it, but a pull-up bar is another major piece in this category here that allows us to get different options with pull-ups, hangs from the pull-up bar. Heck, you can even do different things like toes the bar, knee to chest. Those are awesome to have. Mine is more of a bolt onto the wall option. Again, most pull-up bars actually will be installed or built into squat racks. But again, pull-ups are a wonderful option to have there too. And then final piece in this category is some form of a bench. Mine's a flat bench, so you can use that classically for any kind of a bench press. So whether it be with a barbell, dumbbells, really doesn't matter there. You can prop your foot on it for something like a Bulgarian split squat. I even use benches to help teach people how to hip hinge for something like an RDL, a kettlebell swing, or a deadlift. It also becomes a really nice option if you're trying to work your hip height down for a squat, whether it be you had prior low back, hip, or knee pain. That's a really nice tool to have, but because you can find a consistent depth to squat to, and then as you start feeling better with that, you can remove that and start squatting more so in free space. If you're trying to prevent monotony in the future with different pressing options, an adjustable height bench where it could come up to 90 degrees and down at like 15 or 20 degree increments all the way to flat would do you the best. And our third and final category is what we'll consider not needed but helpful. Consider this a nerdy level up upgrade, if you will. So again, these are things that are they helpful and or add variety to your training? Absolutely. Are they needed day one? No. So one of the things in this category is what we'll consider a specialty barbell. So as we looked in category 2, a regular barbell is just a straight throw weights on it. Life is good, right? Similar idea with these, but they add a little bit different variety. So this right here is what's called a hex bar or a trap bar. Why it's called a trap bar, I have no clue. But again, weights will go on the ends of it. You can do different types of farmer's carries with it. You'll most commonly see these done as a different deadlift variation. I actually like these, especially with people that are more hesitant with pulling off the floor, especially with a straight bar, just because of the angle this allows. I don't know if you can see, but we have a low handle that we can play around with, but also a more high handle as well that can really allow you to use a little bit more knee bend to get down to pick something up off the floor and then stand back up with it. Another option or two, which I don't have with me here, but will be something called a safety squat bar and or potentially what's called a camber bar. Safety squat bars are really nice, especially if you want to squat and you're having some shoulder related difficulties, because the bar pretty much sits kind of like in a almost like half rectangle shape on you with the handles in front. And it's nice because you can even the bar actually rests on your back, and you can use pins out in front of you to hold on to sit down and stand up. So if you're having shoulder troubles but you're still trying to work on leg strength, that's a wonderful option. Plus, again, something like this, or like I said, the camber bar or safety squat bar, adds variety to your basic movement patterns or your fundamental movement patterns. Also, part of this category is more what you consider typical strongman type training. But again, this stuff adds a lot of variety, and it definitely has its place, especially for conditioning purposes too. This would be what's considered a sandbag option. I think this is 100 pounds in this case, but usually you use this to pick up, from the ground to your shoulder. Really great for cardio purposes, along with something like sled, so you can push it, pull it. Heck, you can even do upper body movements with it if you have a strap added to it. And then there's also things like a landmine, which is pretty much an attachment that you put on the ground level. You can put your barbell into it, and it's a really nice option, especially if you're having shoulder trouble and you're looking for either a different press option, or you had a shoulder injury and you're trying to find a arc of movement that your shoulder tolerates better. That's a really nice option, but again, not needed. A nice simple hack for this is if you have like a rolled up towel that you can put down on your wall and where your floor meet, and that way it saves your bar, saves your wall. I've also seen people take a tennis ball and you cut an X in the tennis ball and put it on the end of the barbell, shove it into the wall, and you can work different pressing options. You can hold it at chest level, do a squat, RDL. So again, this stuff is absolutely not necessary, but can hold its place once you start getting more familiar with the basics. And then in this category as well, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about cardio gear. So something like jumping rope, exercise bike, a treadmill, elliptical, stairmaster, rowing machine. All of those can have their place, and there's a bunch of different options for each of those pieces of equipment. But kind of how we talked about at the very first category of what's necessary starting off, heck, even a pair of walking shoes. If you have a space outside that's safe and conducive for walking, then you don't necessarily need a treadmill unless you're trying to get daily step count, and let's say the weather's bad, or you just don't have a place to walk. Rowing machines and bikes are awesome. In terms of which one should you pick, it's really whatever your goal is, and especially if you're looking for something a little more joint friendly, bikes and or rowing machines are awesome, and they'll fit the bill for that. So the point with all of this is start simple. Don't let the fear of, well, I don't have this object or that piece of equipment stand in your way of making true progress. And if you want beginner friendly workouts or even tutorials on how to use any of the stuff that we talked about today, give this video a like and be sure to subscribe, because I can do more videos on a lot of stuff that we talked about today. Oh, and by the way, my name is Michael. I'm a physical therapist and a strength coach that helps nerdy adults like myself get back into working out, whether it be getting into workout as a brand new beginner or as someone coming back after injury.